Alright, hello everyone and welcome to yet another Zyori vlog here. Vlog number 5, I believe we've come to. It's been quite a while since we've been vlogging. It's been at least about a week or so, and I originally promised bi-weekly updates, but what can I say? There wasn't so much going on this week, but this vlog update here might actually be a little bit longer than a few of the others. Got a nice bullet point list here to go through, so we might as well just get right into it. First things first, the Grand Poobah has completed. As some of you probably know, the past 3 Fridays, I think, the last 3 weeks of the event, I did cover. I finished the finals last Friday with the Mr. Moon Meander, and it went fantastic. It was a beautiful series. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the Grand Poobah. We got to see TT Esports versus Orange Esports in the finals, and it was an incredible series. It went all 3 games. The matches are on YouTube, and, well, they've been viewed quite a bit, so I reckon most of you have probably seen them, but if you haven't, they are definitely games worth watching. Now, that being said, there's going to be a spoiler alert coming, so if you didn't watch it yet, you might want to just go ahead and click pause before you watch those games. I want to talk a little bit about just some of that play style that we saw in that series. You know, seeing Wild Soul in 2 of the 3 games doing that really obnoxious strategy. Kind of one of the first times I've ever really seen that Wild Soul pulling to deny the lane and doing it really effectively as well. You know, having 2 junglers on one team and an in-lane Wild Soul. 2 games, so it was absolutely spectacular, and that's the kind of stuff you know, I was hoping to see by getting into garena casting, to be able to see some of those different strategies. So I was pretty excited to see that, and plus I've been casting with Moon Meander. I mean, come on, it's awesome. It's awesome. That guy, man, he just drops knowledge bombs left and right. It's quite the treat to have a competitive Insight co-cast. You know, for a while I was casting with Sneakeee, then casting with Breaky. So casting with Breaky, I guess technically I was the color commentator. So you know, it's pretty exciting to actually be casting with some real professional players. So on that same note, Grand Poobah Season 2 should be starting beginning of August. I don't know if it's been officially announced as far as when the actual start date is. I do know the format is a little bit different. I can't disclose all the information I have because it's not public yet, but it is going to be a little bit different. It should be a little bit more fun as well. I don't know how many teams are going to be included. That's sort of coming to me as it comes to you guys as well, but I should be casting it, maybe not every week, but should be covering at least a good portion of it. So we'll be looking forward to that in about 2 weeks or so when Season 2 gets launched. So I want to talk a little bit about League of Legends as well. Of course, the Raidcall Arms series has been well underway now. We're moving into Week 3 coming up this Wednesday. So far, it's been a little underwhelming. Of course, Week 1 with the spectator mode crash that kind of ruined the series. That's just what happens. Rolled the dice, and Riot chose a very unfortunate time to take down the spectator system, at least from our perspective. Week 2 was unfortunately a little bit of a blowout. We did have Curse go up against Fortnite's Play Like a Girl division, their female-only team, and unfortunately it was a little bit one-sided. Curse was definitely the stronger team, certainly the more seasoned team, and a little bit more experienced as well. So not too surprised in that regard, but the really unfortunate part was there was a connection issue, so we actually did have a forfeit going into Game 3. So needless to say, the first 2 weeks of the Raidcall Arms Showmatch series has been a little bit underwhelming. I've been a little bit just disappointed that we haven't even been able to finish a 3-game series yet, and actually to issues that extend beyond my control. There's nothing I can do if one of their members is having some connection issues and they can't find a ringer in a matter of 5 minutes or whatever. So I can understand that, but it's still frustrating nonetheless. This week coming up, though, we do have a match that is going to be fantastic. It will be CLG Black facing off against our reigning champs, Curse NA. So this should be a hell of a series. Hopefully a lot better. I'm looking forward to it. Seth has been casting now. His debut was last week during Week 2, and although we only had 2 games to cover, it was still pretty good. And I think Seth is a guy with a lot of potential, as I've talked about in the past, but you know, like I said, if you're sort of interested, you might as well head over, check out those VODs as well. But it should be fun. I'm really looking forward to it. This League of Legends stuff has been much more humbling than anything else, I think. I've really become a lot more aware of the gap between being able to stream, cast, do production, and then the other side of it, which is actually having the network and being able to talk to players, get teams set up, and all that stuff. And that's one of the spots where we're really lacking. And it goes to League of Legends is someone that really knows that league community well, where we can just say, okay, we want this team. How do we approach them? Who's their point of contact? Who's their manager? What's their email? What's their Skype? You know, well, what's their Raidcall server? What have you? So it's It's been a little bit frustrating not having someone with that clear network, especially with me and HoN. It's like, any pro player is a hop and a skip away, at least for me to send them a message or to get their Skype or what have you. So that's been a little bit frustrating, and it's definitely made me appreciate having that network a little bit more, if anything else. So just a few notes about that in general. As far as HoNcast is concerned, I know that Breaky CPK has been trying out a lot of different people. I've gotten wind that they are getting close to the end for the Spring Championships. Hopefully they'll have someone semi-permanent. I mean, I don't know. I'm not involved in the screening or the inner workings at all. I know that I am not going to be slated to cast the Summer Championships. I may be casting some here and there, maybe as a guest on the HoNcast channel, some maybe on my channel. I asked if they, there will be more games than one stream can cover. So I may be doing some of the kind of second-tier casting games that HoNcast doesn't get to. Maybe I'll be doing on my channel. It's all still up in the air. I don't know exactly what's going to be going on, but I believe they're pretty close to finding a permanent replacement. So I wouldn't expect to see Zyori around the HoNcast channel too much. Again, I am still sort of a backup if they're in a pinch. They can always call on me, all that kind of stuff. So that's still there, and of course still on the HoNcast podcast. So all things to note. Where does that leave me for Heroes of North casting? Still doing my thing, putting my thing down. I really need to find a co-caster that I can just turn to on the reg. If I have some replays, perfect example, the Cooler Master tournament. That I don't know if anyone covered that, and I wanted to do it live. The teams wouldn't let me because of DDoS. Very, very frustrating. I don't know what to say to them. Maybe they're being DDoS, maybe they're not. Maybe me streaming it would have made it worse. I don't know. I don't want to argue with them. It's very frustrating for me, though, because I'm always hungry for content, and I would love to bring you guys a great series like that HoNcast doesn't have time to cover last minute because they're prepping for Summer Championships. I don't know if the finals have been played yet. I want to say they were scheduled for today or tomorrow, early this week. So if nobody covers that, I'm going to do it and try to bring somebody on for some competitive insight. But it's really unfortunate. Sneakeee still has some hardware issues. I think she's pretty much without a computer that can run anything that requires a graphics card. So that's really, really unfortunate and frustrating for me, because as much fun as solo casting is, I feel like it's just not 100% experience for the viewers. It's cool. If you really like me, you might really like it. There maybe are some people out there that prefer me solo casting, but it's not sustainable. I can't do it all the time. It's just it's too tiring. It's too much. Solo casting, I can get in maybe 3-4 games max. I mean, much more than that, and I'm just like, I'm dead. I can't talk anymore. So hopefully Sneakeee gets her. Maybe I'll send her, mail her some dumpy extra graphics card. I'm sure I have a $50 graphics card. Yeah, here's one right here. I know this one's broken, but I've got some graphics cards lying around. Maybe I can send her one. It's just nice to have somebody else to. It doesn't always have to be a competitive insight caster. On that note, I know there will be some people out there that are just like, oh great, this is my chance. Let me send an app. Don't send me an application, please. Don't. That's not what I'm getting at here. I'm just saying I'm sort of trying to be more active about having a co-caster that I can turn to on a regular basis. That being said, I'm not opposed to trying out new people that I've never casted with, but I think I've talked about this in the past. I absolutely hate casting with people for the first time. The first cast is always horridly painful. It takes a really long time to build that natural synergy with someone, and I'm doing that with Seth right now, and I don't have the mental stamina to do that with an entire another person for a different game. So I'm talking about someone like Nova or Moon, who is somewhat well seasoned, and with those kind of people it's pretty easy. Like the first time I casted with Breaky is much different than the first time I cast with somebody who's a lot less experienced. So just more food for thought, like I said, talking about what I'm doing in the way of Heroes of North. Continuing with Heroes of North, the Zyori breakdown has been a struggle. I do humbly apologize, or not humbly, I sincerely apologize. Something humble about, maybe there is something humble about it. Anyway, sincerity is where I was going. That's the angle I was coming from with that. It's really unfortunate the way things have been happening with the breakdown. I've been trying to set up kind of like a suicide lane breakdown, and I've been trying to think of the best way to really capture that, because it's a very situational role, which is one of the problems. A lot of people suggested getting Fresh Pro on. Unfortunately, I reached out to Fresh Pro, and he actually said no. He said, I'm not interested. No thanks, going to play Dota 2. That's actually the first time anyone has just straight up said no to me. There have been times they're like, no, I can't because I'm busy. No, this is like, they have reasons. No one's ever really just said, it doesn't sound like fun. I don't feel like it. Fuck off. I mean, he wasn't that rude about it, but still, that stung a little bit, and that kind of ruined my breakdown morale. Just like, oh. And one of the other problems that I've been having with the breakdowns, it started with mostly just me talking. And then after talking to some people, getting some viewer feedback, and by talking to some people, I don't mean like asking my mom. I mean talking to other people in the industry and getting some feedback. And all arrows kind of pointed towards episodes that have a guest are significantly better than episodes that don't. I can't really think of one of the episodes. I think of my top 5 as far as viewership and ones that if I would rank them just in the quality, I don't think any of the top 5 are ones of just me talking. Maybe the learning to solo mid. That might be the only exception. And that just... Moon Eye might even be on that one, so I don't know if that counts. I can't remember. Anyway, so I've really been almost afraid to do breakdowns by myself. I've sort of lost some of that solo breakdown enthusiasm that I had when I first started. And part of that is just because I've been doing it with guests for so long now that I've kind of gotten used to that format. And another part of it is just... I don't know, it just feels better. It feels more natural when there's someone else, and I can ask them questions instead of me saying things and, hoping that it's true. Sometimes I just go off onto tangents, and it starts in the right place and just goes off into space, where it's just like, wait, the fuck is this asshole talking about? Like, having a guest helps keep me in check a little bit. So I think that the experience just in general is better with a guest. So I've been in my mind trying to do some quality control in the stream, trying to focus on quality over quantity, and that's why recently, at least, that stream hasn't been online as much as it has been in the past. I'm not really streaming myself practicing anymore. I don't stream myself training League of Legends. I don't stream myself just playing HoN for fun, unless I'm, going to do it with some people, or there's, playing with a pro, or there's something else involved that makes it particularly interesting to watch. I don't really just stream myself raging at noobs on the computer anymore. So I'm trying to step up the quality a little bit, and that's part of where the breakdown. I think what I really need to do is just buckle down, find some good replays, maybe even this Wild Soul thing that we just saw from the Grand Poobah, and just look at it and just talk about it. Just say, you know what? I don't have to have a guest every show. Sometimes just Zyori is enough. So anyway, I have been putting a lot of thought into the breakdown. I know I've been saying things about it, and there hasn't been an episode in like a month. God, episode 20 was the last one. I don't even want to think about how long ago that was. So I do have some ideas on the board, and I actually had a few really good ideas for after DreamHack. The problem was they required guests. That was the big issue, and I couldn't get everybody in one place at one time. It's really difficult. I really wanted to get Shinx, who's in Australia, and I really wanted to get one of the TDM managers who's in California. So it's... Of course, there's me on the East Coast. So it's just a nightmare. The scheduling is an absolute nightmare because the viewership on the breakdown isn't really that huge. I mean, I don't make anything off the breakdown. I do it kind of for fun almost. So it's really hard for me to incentivize really big people to come on other than just doing me a favor. So there are definitely some holes in the breakdown model if I need a guest every episode. So we're sort of reevaluating. We'll see what we do with the breakdown. I do apologize, though, for those of you that really liked it, like some of the better episodes we've done. I think it's a great concept. I just... I need a permanent guest. It needs to be like... I need to start a show with Moon. Zyori Meander meets something, Zyori Meander meets World. I don't know. I was watching Boy Meets World this morning when I woke up. That's what... anyhow, moving right along, though, one of the last things I want to talk about is News Report. That's, the show I've been doing Saturday mornings. Almost said Friday mornings. Saturday mornings, 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hyper and myself, of course. Hyper is one of my real-life friends. He's come over, and we've been streaming some League LAN action, and there was some Kraken action going about on, I guess, what was that, Saturday night? Little embarrassing, got a little bit out of control. We had some fun drinking Kraken and playing Kraken. I made the account Captain Kraken. It was a lot of fun. We had really a lot of fun. Streamed 4 or 5 games, went like 1-4. It was fun. Everyone got a lot of laughs. It was a good time had by all. Anyhow, Hyper is the guy that I do it with. You follow him on Twitter at JD Hyper. News Report is pretty cool, and I know a lot of you watching are like, well, I don't want to watch a League of Legends show. It's not really a League of Legends show. We're playing League of Legends while we're talking. It's pretty much a podcast while we're playing League of Legends. So, I mean, there's webcams and stuff, but the show isn't about League of Legends. I mean, we talk about the game, like, all right, go for this gank, go for this kill, I warded here, whatever, but most of the conversation is just about current events and news, and I haven't really been advertising it too much. It's just sort of, it's on the calendar and we stream it and the viewership's really low. That's really because it's not a big deal. It's basically something that the concept came from Josh and I were doing that anyway on Saturday mornings, and I was just like, Josh, why don't we actually just get a little bit organized, stream at a set time, and just do what we do anyway. So that was sort of the motivation behind it, and then we just got some graphics together, and now we actually do find news and make an outline and prep ahead of time. But it's the same sort of concept where it's just us chatting, and it's actually kind of interesting just because it's raw conversation. And one of the things that I have learned semi-recently, but over the last couple of months, much more so than I hadn't learned over the last year and a half or so that I've been doing esports stuff, is I've developed a greater appreciation for shows that like where DJ Wheat, you know, like Live on 3, that kind of stuff, you know, esports without the fluff. A lot of us at home, and unless you've really worked in that environment, don't realize how bound we are by our words. And when you're working in a sponsored environment, when there are people investing in you, where you're representing other people, you have to be very careful with what you say. And there are a lot of things that have to be omitted, whether it's just choice vocabulary, ways of expressing opinions, whether it's just not expressing an opinion when you would really like to. You have to bite your tongue quite a bit. At least I find myself having to bite my tongue a lot in this industry. So what's cool about News Report is there are no sponsors involved. There's nothing involved. There's nothing harboring us except our own thoughts and inhibitions. So it's interesting in that sense, where it's raw conversation. We curse at each other, you know, we talk about controversial things, and it's just sort of an open floor, almost debate kind of a deal. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Again, I know a lot of you are going to be turned off right away because it's a League of Legends based thing, but I would say if you're all interested in that kind of a thing, just witty banter or what have you, it may be worth watching. Just, you know, listen to the audio, you know, put it on and just listen in the background, because that's, I mean, it's really a podcast. That's really what it is. The webcams are just there to give you something to look at if you are one that likes to watch League of Legends. And it's kind of funny because we're not really that good at League of Legends. Neither of us are level 30, so it's, you know, it's kind of like silly pub games, and I've been told I'm known to do quite the interesting build. So anyway, that's my 2 cents, and I wanted to take it full circle with that kind of no fluff kind of a thing almost. And not that it's that bad or anything, not that it's like, you know, 18 or older mature audiences only. It's just, you know, I don't have to worry about expressing my opinions and saying what I really think about things. So I think that about does it. We are much longer than most of these other vlogs have been, so I'll wrap it up at there. As always, follow the social networking, and like per usual, I'll be vlogging when appropriate. I want to keep it up pretty frequently, do it as much as possible, but at the same time, don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it. I actually want to have stuff to talk about. So Monday mornings kind of seem to be the key time, and if there's a second one in the week, kind of whenever I feel like it. So regardless, plenty of stuff in the works, as always, doing a lot of things, always busy. So just keep tabs on the Twitch channel, the YouTube channel, and all of the It's Goes to Own 3D channels, and I'm sure there will be plenty of Zyori to go around. Until then, guys, be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll see you on another video.